As you know, I'm reading the Human Development Report 2022, and in this word salad from the United Nations, they love the buzzword, marginalized groups. I keep seeing claims that censorship, authoritarianism, and oppression are justified because it's on behalf of historically marginalized groups. Historically marginalized groups or historically marginal groups? No one marginalized the Amish. It's just that their contributions to the larger historical arc are marginal. If Australian Aborigines move to Sweden and constitute less than 1% of their population, no one marginalized them. Their numbers render them marginal. The fact that no left-handed Hispanic lesbians signed the Declaration of Independence is not an act of them being marginalized. It's just that left-handed Hispanic lesbians were never more than a marginal, if non-existent, group at the beginning of the founding of the nation. To blame the host population for marginalizing tiny fringe demographics is insane. What's even more insane is trying to marginalize the majority population. And that's when we get into the very definition of tyranny. The left says that it wants more democracy, but then it says that it's against the tyranny of the majority. Democracy is the tyranny of the majority. It's what Ben Franklin called two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. That's why the founders created a republic, not a democracy. But the very thought that you can equalize things for tiny groups by oppressing the majority is, as I said, the very essence of tyranny. It's the subordination of the host population to a ruling elite, the only true minority, whose interests they're trying to advance. All the other groups are mere decoys, stalking horses, pretexts. Cicero said that there were 6 fallacies in life. One was that believing that personal gain is achieved by crushing others. In other words, you get ahead not by hard work on your own part, but by oppressing some other group. Kind of like the notion of anti-racism. We'll cure racism from 200 years ago by being racist toward European Americans today. This rationale is a textbook example of Cicero's list of the fallacies of man. This concept of discriminating against others to raise certain newly favored groups as a way to achieve homeostasis came into focus recently when the Supreme Court was weighing racially based college quota systems. When the attorney for the universities presented the rationale, Clarence Thomas said, "These arguments in favor of affirmative action sound awfully familiar."
Mr. Park, I've heard the word diversity quite a few times, and I don't have a clue what it means. It seems to mean everything for everyone. And I'd like you first, you did give some examples in your opening remarks, but I'd like you to give us a specific definition of diversity in the context of the University of North Carolina. And I'd also like you to give us a clear idea of exactly what the educational benefits of diversity at the University of North Carolina would be.
Yes, Your Honor. So first, we define diversity the way this court has in its court's precedents, which means a broadly diverse set of criteria that extends to all different backgrounds and perspectives and not solely limited to race. And there's a factual finding in this record, PEDAP 113, that there are many different diversity factors that are considered as a greater factor in our admissions process than race. We have a particular interest in recruiting and enrolling rural North Carolinians. In the last incoming class, 4 out of every 10 students who entered the campus doors were from rural North Carolina. 1 out of every 12 students has a military affiliation, including the most veterans on campus since World War II. And so we value diversity of all different kinds and all the ways that people differ in our society. On the educational benefits question, Your Honor, I don't think it's actually disputed here that there are real and meaningful educational benefits that come with diversity of all kinds. SFFA's own expert, this is on JA 546, conceded and agreed enthusiastically, in fact, on the stand, that a racially diverse and a diversity of all kinds leads to, quote, a deeper and richer learning environment, leads to more creative thinking and exchange of ideas, and critically reduced bias between people of different backgrounds and not solely different racial backgrounds.
The idea being put forth was that by discriminating against white applicants, you could raise the fortunes of Black and Hispanic candidates. Of course, this strategy masks what's really happening, rigging the system so that it doesn't operate for the majority, but for a minority. Scrape away the layers of propaganda, and what it boils down to is not race. It's about certain oligarchical factions using racial minorities as a shield for the only true minority that counts, billionaire-oligarchs. Establishing legal precedents that stigmatize and disempower the majority under some cover of social justice, when the fact is, it's the controlled demolition of a republic and its replacement by an oligarchy. Remember, the etymology of republic is res publica. It translates from Latin as the people's thing. It's a form of government that's supposed to work for the people. An oligarchy, by contrast, is a form of government that's designed to work for a powerful minority. John Stuart Mill, in Considerations on Representative Government, said that republics were stable because they rest on the majority of the people, like a pyramid resting on its base. Oligarchies were unstable, he said, because they only served the interests of a tiny minority, and hence they were like an inverted pyramid, balanced precariously on its tip. These alleged social justice campaigns are not about benefiting blacks or Hispanics or gays or any other numerically marginal group. They're the pretext to get laws into place that grandfather in the power and privilege of the only true minority, billionaire oligarchs. The rest is just a smokescreen. The collector's edition of the bookazine The Great Reset and Transhumanism is out. Get your copy now by going to shopjbs.org. Spoiler alert, there's an article by me in there.